Hello, my name's Mabel and I'm 48 years old. Only a few months ago I experienced something horrifying that led to me losing all contact with my son. Before I dive into that story, let me give you a little background on me and my son, Ned. I lost all use of my legs after a car crash when I was in college. It was a very hard time for me and I lost a lot of friends after because I needed a lot of care and attention, something that not a lot of people were willing to give when they're in their prime years of college. Thankfully, I had my family by my side. They showed me how much family can do for you when you're at your lowest. I don't think I could have ever made it out alive if not for the support and care of my family. They renewed my sense of familial love, and it is because of them that I found it in my heart to adopt my son, Ned. I was gifted an apartment by my parents when I told them that I wanted to move out and live independently. I was around 27 by this point and more than used to being a disabled person. I knew my way around and I was confident that I was going to be able to live alone. My parents were never one to discourage me, and they found me a disabled-friendly apartment and bought it for me. About a year into living in my own new apartment, I opened my front door to a child standing in front of me. He was sobbing and telling me that his mother had left him there. My heart really broke for him, so I invited him in to wait at my place until his mother came back. A day passed, and then another, until it became pretty clear that his mother was never coming back. This boy's name was Ned, and I cared for him as much as I could. Ned began to warm up to me, and eventually I asked him if he would be okay with me adopting him. It had been a few months since he was living with me. I had alerted CPS in the first week of his arrival and worked out an arrangement with them that let him continue to live with me. Ned was ecstatic for me to adopt him, and so I did. I was so incredibly happy to be a mother. I never thought that I would have been able to experience the joys of being a mother, since I wasn't exactly in the best of places to even give birth. When Ned was 16, however, I began to notice a change in him. He became a lot more reserved and was very snappy with me. Every time I tried to ask him what was wrong, he'd get upset with me and tell me it was nothing. I chalked it up to him being a teenager, but this continued until he was 18. Right before Ned left for college, he told me that he wanted to find his real mother. I will not lie, but it broke my heart to hear him say that. It made me feel like I hadn't done enough for him. But I also knew better than to be selfish about his wants, so I assured him that he could do whatever he liked. Ned began to behave like his usual self after that, so clearly that was what was eating him up for so long. I was just happy that Ned was feeling better. In college, Ned met Violet, the woman who he was going to marry. Violet was, and still is, an amazing girl. She and I got along really well, and I was more than happy that Ned found himself such a good woman. They remained a couple for the next 6 years. Ned moved out to live with Violet, and after that, Ned barely spoke much to me, but Violet made sure to call me every week. I didn't mind because I figured that Ned was busy living his life. One day, Ned and Violet came over because they had something to tell me. "So, Mabel, we have something big to tell you." "Oh, really? What is it?" "Ned, do you want to tell her?" "No, it's okay. You go ahead and tell her." "All right. This past weekend, you know that Ned took me on a trip to the beach?" "Yes." "While at the beach, Ned proposed to me." "We're engaged." "Oh, that's absolutely wonderful. I'm so happy for both of you." "You are the first person who knows." "You told me before you told your parents, Violet?" "Of course. You're the most wonderful person, and you were the one that encouraged and supported Ned so much that he can now be who he is." "Oh, sweetie, that's so nice. I'm so grateful that you both care enough about me to do this." "Of course, Mom. I really am grateful for everything you've given me. You gave me a chance at life, and I'm sorry if I've been ungrateful in the past few years. Oh, that's all right. I'm just happy that you've found your way in life and that you've found this precious woman to cherish and love. You're too kind. We wanted to personally invite you to our wedding, so save the date for 6 months from now. I'm so excited. But isn't 6 months a little too close to plan everything out? No, we just want to get married as quickly as possible. I mean, we've been together since freshman year of college. I don't think there's any need to wait any longer. Besides, we're not planning on having a large wedding. It'll be a relatively small one with only our closest friends and family there. Okay then, if you two need any help, and I mean any help, be it financially or otherwise, don't hesitate to ask me, okay? Of course, Mom. Now, let's go celebrate. I was genuinely happy for Ned and Violet. I always wanted them to get married, but I held my tongue because I didn't want to intrude in their relationship. Also, being the first to be invited and told made me feel so incredibly special. Besides, I also got a sincere apology from Ned later, and I finally felt at ease. We went out to get some food and drinks after their announcement, and we had a good time. About a month after they announced their wedding, Ned came over to my place unannounced. He looked a little anxious, but I didn't address that immediately. I greeted him warmly. Hey, sweetie, come in. Hi, Mom. How are you? I'm doing good. What about you? Is everything okay? It actually is. I'm great, and so is Violet, although she is beginning to stress out about the wedding planning, but no matter what I say, she just doesn't seem to calm down. Oh, don't worry about that. She probably just needs some time to get her ideas collected, so you guys can work towards them. Yeah, I guess, but speaking of this wedding, it made me think of something, and I came up here because I wanted to talk to you about it. Oh? What is it? Did something happen? Well, kind of, but not anything bad, obviously. Okay, that's a relief, so tell me, what were you thinking about? The more I thought about the wedding, the more it hit me how weddings are a family celebration, and that got me thinking about my birth mother. Oh, okay. I mean, no offense to you, Mom. I mean, you took me in and raised me, but I really did want to meet my birth mother. It's been decades since I last saw her. I don't even remember her face. Sweetie, you don't have to defend yourself. I get it. It's beyond normal to be curious about your biological parents. I mean, I always knew the day would come when you would tell me that you wanted to meet them. And to be frank, I didn't think it would take you this long to talk to me about it. Yeah, well, I managed to track down my mother. Oh, where is she? Turns out she still lives in our city. What? I know, right? She's been here the whole time, so I texted her on Facebook and she replied back almost immediately. We set up a date to meet after just a few minutes of catching up because we couldn't catch up 20 years over text. Okay. Did you meet her yet, or is this meeting set to happen soon? The meeting happened 2 days ago. I found out that my mother was in a tough spot when she had me and couldn't keep up with taking care of me, so she dropped me off at your place. But after about a year, she found a good man who was well off, and they got married. She has kids with him too, so that means that I have half siblings. How did finding out all of that make you feel? I mean, I was happy for my mother. She must have really gone through a lot to have to drop me off at a stranger's place, but it does suck that she never searched for me after. Did you tell her that? No, I'm more glad that I get to have a relationship now, anyway. I even invited her to our wedding. Oh, that's great. I'm just happy that you're happy. You seem upset. I told Violet that it would make you upset. She's the one who told me it would be wrong to blindside you at the wedding. No, I'm not upset. Just a little surprised, that's all. Okay, that's great. I can't wait for you to meet my mother. It's going to be a blast. Just you wait and see. I'm sure it will be. I will admit that I was beyond upset at what Ned had told me. First of all, the very fact that he did not plan on telling me about finding and inviting his birth mother to the wedding hurt me deeply. I didn't like that it took Violet to force him to do that. Secondly, I didn't like that his birth mother lived right here and never once tried to reach out to him. I think that told me enough about the woman's personalities and priorities, which is what made Ned's enthusiasm about developing a relationship with her even more hurtful. His birth mother instead found herself a rich man and had no problem raising his kids and not Ned. Don't get me wrong, I'm more than happy that I got to raise Ned, but I did not like how Ned could not seem to look past his birth mother's disgusting behavior. I didn't say anything to Ned about what I was feeling, mostly because I didn't want to ruin his happiness, and also because I didn't think it was right for me to tell him that I was worried that he would forget me if he became close with his birth mother. That didn't feel like an appropriate thing to say, but all the years of him being distant made me feel insecure and worried. But after Ned left that day, I consoled myself by reminding myself that at the end of the day, I knew that Ned would recognize the fact that I knew him better than anyone else, including his absent birth mother. Over the course of the next few months, I helped Violet and Ned plan their wedding to the best of my ability. Violet insisted that I be a part of the wedding planning too, because she involved her parents in it. Ned kept trying to involve his birth mother in it too, but she always flaked on us last minute. It would devastate Ned, but he would always pick himself up a few days later. It pained me to see him go through all of that. I wanted him to realize that his birth mother probably wanted nothing to do with him. But I didn't think it would look nice if I said it to him. I knew that he would think that I was jealous or insecure, and that was not a conversation that I wanted to have with him. Anyways, a few days before the wedding, his birth mother called him to tell him that she would not be able to make it because one of her children had a headache and she did not want to leave them alone. I had the unfortunate honor of watching Ned pick up that call because I was over at his place, helping Violet alter her wedding dress. I watched as Ned groveled with her to come to the wedding, but she claimed that she simply could not. It crushed Ned, but he refused to talk about it. I tried my best to be there for him. Finally, the day of the wedding arrived, and I went over to his house to make sure that everything was going smoothly, and also because Violet asked me to help her get dressed. At some point, Ned came to me and asked me if he could talk to me about something. He looked upset, and I figured it was going to be about his birth mother not attending, so I followed him to his room and asked him what was wrong. "What is it? Is everything okay?" "We need to talk." "Okay, tell me what's wrong." "I've been thinking about this since Violet and I got engaged." "Oh, sweetie, you can't possibly have cold feet right now. You've been with Violet for years, and just because you get married, that won't change anything. Besides..." "No, that's not it. It just... I don't want you at our wedding." "Excuse me?" "Look, don't take this personally, but you're not my real mom. And like Violet said, our wedding is only going to be for the closest of family and friends." "How can you say that I'm not your real mom, Ned? I raised you." "That does not make you my mother." "So just because you found your real mother, you're throwing me out?" "When you put it that way, I sound like an awful person." "What other way is there to put it? Besides, you can't just uninvite me on the day of your wedding." "I can, and that's why I'm doing it. So if you could please just leave without any commotion." "Did Violet also agree to uninvite me?" "No, she doesn't even know about any of this, which is why I'm asking you to quietly leave." "If she doesn't know about it, then I don't see why I should leave. Whether you consider me your mother or not, you're my son. I want to be there to witness one of the biggest days of your life." "I was afraid that you were going to be like this. I have no choice but to lock you in this room." "Lock me? What are you talking about?" Don't worry, I already stocked the room with food and water. I'll be back before the wedding ends, and I'll let you out. Just don't tell Violet anything." "You can't lock me in here like I'm some animal. Is this really how you want to start your marriage? By lying to Violet? What will you even tell her about my absence?" "I'll just tell her that you had some pain and tearfully told me that you've got to go back home to rest. Anyway, I really have to run right now, so I can make it on time to the venue. Take care, okay? Oh, and here, let me grab this." "Give me back my phone. Come back right now, young man. Don't you dare lock me in. Hello?" I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in a small, locked room on the first floor of a house with absolutely no way to contact anyone. If there is one thing that you should know, it's that I developed pretty bad claustrophobia after my accident, something that Ned was very well aware of. Needless to say, I was panicking beyond belief. Before I knew it, I was sobbing. I could barely catch my breath and I was beginning to feel faint. I tried my best to calm down, but it wasn't working. I was in the room for about 15 minutes before Violet opened the door and looked shocked to see me there. "Mabel, what are you doing here? Oh my gosh, are you okay?" "I don't know. I was so worried and scared. Why was the door locked from the outside?" "Here, have some water. Calm down a little. I'm right here. You're not alone anymore." "Thank you so much, sweetie. I was genuinely terrified. You know me in small spaces." "I do. That's why I'm freaking out. Who did this?" "I don't want to say anything out of fear of ruining your day." "No, I will not let this slide. You need to tell me right now or I will call Ned here and we will wait until you tell us who did this to you." "No, don't call Ned." "What? Why?" "Ned was the one that locked me in here." "What? Why would he do something so cruel to you?" "He told me that I wasn't his real mother, and since your wedding is only for close family, I'm not invited." "Are you being serious? But you raised him. That man has known you as his mother since he was 5. "I know. That's what hurt the most, even more than him locking me in here. The audacity of that man. This is the final straw. But wait. I'm confused. Did he not think that I would see you here after we came back?" "He said that he'd come back earlier and let me out." "You know what? You're coming with me to the venue." "I don't know if that's a good idea. I mean, Ned made it very clear that he didn't want me there." "Who cares? The wedding is not happening anyway." "What?" "No. You can't break my son's heart like that. I should never have said anything. Please, Violet, please don't do that to him." "I'm sorry, Mabel, but I simply cannot marry a man who is so ready to toss the woman who raised him aside on his big day. He insulted you and locked you in here, and you're still showing him so much compassion and care. How can you do that?" Like I told him, it does not matter whether he considers me his mom because he will always be my son. I love him so dearly, and the last thing I want is for him to have a bad time. Okay, then think about things from my perspective. If he could treat you, his mother, who he has known for 19 years, this way, and not even bat an eye at it, how will he treat me in the future? Would you be okay with him ever treating me in a similar manner? Absolutely not. You're too kind of a soul to ever go through this. And so are you. You need to teach him a lesson. He's your son and you need to discipline him. So are you coming with me or should I wheel you there regardless? All right, I'll come along. I was so beyond grateful for Violet and whatever led to her forgetting something back at home. I would have pretty much passed out if not for her return. I will admit that I did feel a tiny bit angry with Ned, though I was not nearly as much as Violet was. She was fuming. I could practically see steam coming out of her ears. My heart was racing as we approached the venue because I didn't know how Ned was going to react. I knew he was not a violent man, but after what he did to me, I wasn't that sure about it. I was only comforted by the fact that there would be a lot of people around me to witness whatever happened and stop Ned if he tried to do something. When we reached the venue, Violet asked me to go in first and told me that she would follow later. She wanted Ned to be surprised so she could walk in and cause a scene. She wanted to expose Ned to everyone there, so I wheeled myself in. Ned was talking to the priest at the altar, and when he saw me, he rushed over and in a hushed voice asked me what I was doing there. "Mom, what are you doing here? Who brought you here?" "I wanted to see." "Do you not care about what I want at all?" "Why should she, when you don't care about her at all?" "Violet, what are you talking about?" "I happened to go back home because I forgot something that I planned on giving you when we stood at the altar. Tell me why I find Mabel locked in the room there." "Violet, I love you, but you need to butt out of my family business." "What family? You told me that I wasn't your real mom. Violet has every right to ask any question that she wants to. And if we get married, I will become a part of your family, which, by the way, includes Mabel. I mean, how dare you leave your disabled and claustrophobic mother locked in our room on the first floor? What would you have done if something serious happened to her?" "Stop overreacting. Nothing would have happened to her." "Do you really feel absolutely no remorse for what you did?" "I mean, like I explained, she's not my real mother. I told her that and explained that it was the reason that I didn't want her here. I asked her not to come, but she insisted on coming, so I did what I had to do." "Where is your real mother, Ned? Huh? You care so much about your biological mother who abandoned you, and not about the woman who took you in and raised you." "Oh, save me the sob story. It's my wedding and I get to decide who I want to be here and who I do not." "So I have no say in things at all. Should I have contacted your real mother? Oh, my bad. She didn't have the time to abandon her rich husband and 4 other kids to come here. You know who showed up for you? Mabel." "There's no need to drag my real mother into this, Violet. Can we just carry on with the wedding? We'll talk about this later." "No, absolutely not. I'm not marrying you. In fact, Mabel and I are going to go out right now. I wish you nothing but the worst, Ned." Violet grabbed the handles of my wheelchair and wheeled me out. I was sobbing because I could not believe how low Ned fought. Everyone in the room heard what happened between Ned and Violet, and every single one of them looked horrified. Violet took me to a cafe where we just sat in silence for a while, processing what had just happened. Then Violet turned to me and began to apologize profusely for the way that Ned had treated me. In turn, I apologized for being the reason that her relationship ended. We ended up reminding each other that Ned was to blame and not each other. Over the course of the next week, Violet ended up breaking up with Ned and threw him out of her house. I was happy that she was finally getting back on her feet. Ned called me up after that and began yelling at me. "Are you happy?" "Whoa, why are you screaming?" "Why shouldn't I scream? You ruined the biggest day of my life and turned everyone against me." "I did not do anything like that, Ned. You did this to yourself." "No, I'm sure that you purposely did this to get attention on you." "What are you talking about?" "Everywhere we go, everyone always flocks to you. I just wanted one day for myself, and you ruined that. Like you ruined everything all throughout my life." "Do you really think that, Ned? I am a disabled person. Of course, people are going to flock to make sure that I'm okay. I didn't mean to steal anything from you." "Well, whether you wanted to or not, you did. And this is exactly why I did not consider you my mother. No mother ever takes things away from her child." "Right. Because your real mother abandoning you at my doorstep is something that mothers do." "You even stole my wife from me. Are you really not ashamed?" "I didn't steal Violet, who, by the way, is not your wife. She realized that she did not want to be in a relationship with a man who was so self-centered that he'd toss away his disabled mother on the day of his wedding. You are the reason that Violet is no longer in your life. Wow, you can't even take any accountability for what you did. No, Ned, that's something that you're struggling with right now. You need to sit down and really rethink the way you look at life. I did nothing but give you all I had, even when I didn't have enough. What you did to me was beyond disgusting, and until you get your act together to come and properly apologize to me, I don't want you to call me. Oh, I'm never calling you again. Words cannot begin to describe how hurt I felt when I heard what Ned had to say. I can't believe that he had always felt like I was robbing him of attention. I devoted my everything to him. I tried my best to make sure he had everything he wanted and more. I was there for him when he struggled and used the contacts I gained because of all my attention to get him places. I just cried for a long while after that conversation with Ned. I knew it was wrong, but I called Violet, only to see if she knew what had happened after we left the wedding venue. Apparently everyone tore into Ned for the way he treated me after they saw what had happened. Ned kept trying to defend himself, but no one really listened to him. Instead, they all filed out of the venue and Ned was left all alone. But the backlash ended up reaching everyone in Ned's life, and he got numerous calls and texts from family and friends calling him a jerk. While I do not like that Ned was being treated that way, it felt nice to know that I had so many people backing me up. Not to mention, I really hope that Ned takes this as a chance to reflect back on his words. As much as he hurt me, I still hope that he'll come back to me one day, even if it's not to apologize, just to talk to me. Violet and I continue to remain good friends. She comes over to my place every weekend and spends time with me. It was sad that my son's ex-fiancé cared more for me than my son, but I was just glad that somebody cared for me. I also got an outpouring of support from those who were at the wedding and others who heard about what happened. I don't really know what's happening with Ned, but I do know that he moved to another city to start over. I'm blocked everywhere and I can't get in touch with him in any way, but at least I have people telling me what's going on with him, and for now that's enough. It's been a few months since everything happened, and I must admit that I am a lot happier than I was before. I guess I don't have much to worry about right now, and that's a good feeling. Wish me the best of luck for the future. Thank you so much for listening to my story.